The wide receivers for the 2024 NFL Draft have all been pretty insane. At the top, you have guys such as Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, and Rome Odunze, and then you have plenty of other guys who can make a serious impact. Players like Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall, etc., etc. There are many big names, but one guy is really going under the radar in my opinion. He had an extremely dominant year for Michigan, won a national championship, but for some reason has not gotten the same amount of attention as other guys. Today, I'm going to introduce you to Roman Wilson. He's, in my opinion, one of the most slept on players in this year's draft class, and we're going to talk about who this guy is, why he could be such a steal, and how he got to this point. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now let's get started and talk about Roman Wilson. So, going back in time, Roman got a front row seat to watch some of Hawaii's greatest football stars on TV. He grew up watching players such as Colt Brennan and Timmy Chang, and also got a chance to come up a few years after guys like Marcus Mariota, the Tagovailoas, and Mackenzie Milton as well. Obviously, he had some overlap with some of those players, but Roman would grow up an Oregon Ducks fan and grew up in the great state of Hawaii. He was always an athlete as a kid, but eventually he started to take it way more serious in 6th grade as he developed a love for racing and a hatred for losing. One kid would always beat him in track, so his family actually asked if the two would train together. The kid's father said, quote, "My son would always beat Roman, but watching him, I knew that he would have a talent for it, so I invited him to see if he wanted to train." At first, Roman pushed back. He didn't want to train with the father of his competition, but he eventually decided to swallow his pride, and after one lesson, he was sold. This would help develop Roman's greatest attribute, speed. Originally hailing from Maui, Wilson, there weren't a lot of great football options for high school in the area, so eventually his parents identified a school that would maximize his athletic and academic potential. He would have to go to St. Louis High School. This is where many greats went, such as Tua, Talia, and Mariota, but the problem was that was a few islands away and was an absolutely grueling commute. His trainer said, quote, "It was hard because we didn't know where he was going to live that first year. So, the first year for a while, I was running into the airport and he would literally fly to school at 3 to 4 in the morning, catch the bus, go to class, go to practice, and come back at the end of the day." I can't even begin to describe how crazy that is, and his dedication to football was insane. Luckily though, it wouldn't last long, as a local family heard about what he was doing and offered to take Roman in for the year. The risk would end up paying off for him after his sophomore season, as scouts would begin to notice. At the Nike's opening regional camp, the work he had done with his speed trainer had come to fruition. He clocked in at 4.37 and instantly went from an under-recruited player to a star. At the time, he only had 5 to 7 offers, and Cal was the only Power 5 school that wanted to give him a chance. After the run, he ended up with 28 Division I offers, including one from his dream school, Oregon. It wasn't easy though, as he had to go far lengths to get noticed on the recruiting trail, and he had to go to camps in the mainland. Obviously, with him being in Hawaii, that's not easy. He said, quote, "I want to prove to people that I can run routes, I can catch, I have good footwork, and I think I can prove that. I mean, I went up there to prove that reason, and I also wanted to show people that I have elite speed too." Wilson was a varsity receiver for 3 years, where he totaled 103 catches for 1,948 yards and 22 touchdowns over his career. He made a name for himself as a national recruit by repeatedly burning defensive backs, helping St. Louis High School win 4 consecutive titles, hung up long touchdowns during the fall, and ran amazing sprints for the track team in the spring. I also want to quickly highlight his parents' dedication to this as well, as Roman's dad was actually a Hawaiian Airlines employee and transferred to Honolulu to be with his son, while his mom was a special ed teacher and she stayed there picking up odd jobs such as cleaning homes, making jewelry, and even babysitting to help them pay for their son's tuition at St. Louis High School, which was a private Catholic school. Obviously, it paid off in many ways, as he won the 2019 state gold medal in the 100-meter dash with a time of 10.68. He was just 0.05 seconds away from the record, and overall, this guy was just a burner who also had good stats. There was a method to his madness though, and it wasn't all luck. He said, quote, "I've been preparing for this for such a long time. I put so much work in. The diets, the after workouts, all the little things that you did start to pay off." He was considered one of the best athletes to ever come out of Hawaii, and said it just means a lot and I've put in a lot of work. Just to go down in history as one of the best athletes in Hawaii, it really means a lot to me and my family, and I know it means a lot to them. I greatly appreciate this. So, he was a star, but where was he going to go? Well, he apparently had 12 total offers, and eventually chose Michigan over Cal, Oregon, UCLA, Colorado, Arizona State, and others. Family connections would help Michigan win the recruiting battle as well, as both of his parents are from Michigan, and I think specifically the UP, but it wasn't just about that. He said, quote, "I think that is the best place for me to get a lot of exposure. My plan is to play in the NFL, and going against the best of the best from that conference week after week is what I need to do if I want to reach that level." It worked, and scouts knew he was going to be a big deal. According to 24/7 Sports, Wilson was ranked a 4-star recruit, the number 60 wide receiver, and the 354th best player in the class of 2020. So how would the Hawaiian speedster do at Michigan? Roman would arrive at Michigan in 2020, and unfortunately, it would not be during great circumstances or great quarterback play. It went between Cade McNamara and Joe Milton, both of which struggled, and this led to one of the worst seasons in Michigan football history. Roman got limited chance to impress, as he ended up finishing with 9 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown. His best performance came against Michigan State, with 5 catches for 71 yards, and his lone touchdown came in a loss to Indiana. Going into 2021, he was buried on the depth chart a little bit, but Wilson's speed was eventually going to get him on the field. The first 3 games of the 2021 season were pretty slow for him, and then he had the game that would change his career. In a 38-17 road victory over Wisconsin, Wilson caught 6 passes for 81 yards. After that game, Coach Harbaugh said, quote, "Wilson is growing leaps and bounds. It's almost like one of those X-Men movies, where the little kid or the teenage guy finds their power. Now they know they have it, and they're using it. It's really exciting to watch as a coach." The rest of the year was still somewhat slow for him though, as he never caught more than 3 passes in a game, and his best performance would come with 2 touchdowns and a crucial road victory over Penn State. Eventually, Michigan would beat Ohio State in the game, and then they would get to play number 13 Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. Wilson would have a huge touchdown in that one, and they would end up getting to the college football playoff. A blowout loss to number 3 Georgia, Wilson caught 1 pass, and he would finish the year with 25 catches for 420 yards and 3 touchdowns. Going into 2022, Michigan obviously wanted to get back to the college football playoff, and Wilson was going to have a chance to be a big part of that. Before the season started, a reporter actually asked him who the fastest player on the team was, and he said, quote, "I'm going to say it's me all day." He had an insane amount of confidence in his game, and in 2022, he'd actually do pretty well. In week 1, he'd have a touchdown against Colorado State, before a homecoming-like game in week 2 against Hawaii. In that game, he would touch the ball twice, scoring 2 touchdowns. This meant a lot to him as he got to play against the flagship school of his home state, and Michigan did a lot to try to get him involved. Timmy Chang took notice and said, quote, "His story is unbelievable, and that kid deserves everything coming his way." From there, Roman would have a decent role, as he'd have 4 catches in their win over number 10 Penn State, and that would help them beat Ohio State again to get back to the college football playoff. This is where the best game of his career would happen, as against number 3 TCU, he caught 5 passes for 104 yards and a touchdown, and also had a score on the ground. Wilson ended up finishing the season with 25 catches for 376 yards and 4 touchdowns, with 2 rushing scores. Right now, at Ronnie Bell leaving, it looks like Roman is going to have a chance to be the number 1 receiver in 2023, and that is exactly what would end up happening. With JJ McCarthy back and Michigan loading up for a national title run, Roman Wilson would go off. In their first game against East Carolina, he'd catch 6 passes for 78 yards and 3 touchdowns. This was his welcome to college football moment, and he would follow that up again with a big game against UNLV. In that game, he'd catch 2 more touchdowns, and then would also have a touchdown in their win against Bowling Green. He was off to a hot start in their first 3 weeks. After that, he helped them beat Rutgers, and then had 2 touchdowns in a road victory over Nebraska. Michigan was 5-0, and Roman was a big part of the offense. They'd beat Minnesota, he'd score a touchdown against Indiana, and also have a touchdown in a win over Michigan State. In early November against Purdue, Roman would catch a season-high 9 passes for a season-high 143 yards, and would help them kill the Boilermakers. He'd also have a catch in their win over Maryland, and then had a touchdown in their huge victory over Ohio State. Michigan was once again undefeated, and he would help them beat Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. After that, in their overtime victory against Bama, he ended up catching a touchdown in that one, and then would have 3 catches in their win over Washington in the national championship. On the year, Roman would finish with 48 catches for 789 yards and 12 touchdowns, while averaging nearly 17 yards per catch. Not only was he a national champion, but he was also listed as a second-team All-Big Ten selection. He would decide to declare for the 2024 NFL Draft, and he had a lot going for him. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash time, had great production, won a national championship, and also has the speed and the agility to really make it at the next level. Roman tested well at the Combine, interviewed well, and really has a lot going for him. According to NFL Mock Database, he is currently projected as a second-round pick, the 51st best prospect, and the consensus is that he'll probably be taken in the first half of the second round. Obviously, in retrospect, the first round of the draft has already happened, and there's a good chance that Roman gets taken tonight. We'll really just have to wait and see, but he has an awesome story. From coming from Hawaii, to being a track star, and to being the best wide receiver on a national championship team, Roman Wilson has seen everything, but I don't quite think he has hit his ceiling yet. If he's properly developed, I think he could have a long NFL career, and people will wonder why he fell to the second round. But we'll just have to wait and see. If you're a Michigan fan, what do you think of Roman Wilson? If you're a fan of the team that drafts him, what do you think of him, and what other rookie or prospect should I cover next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.